Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Hold on. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, yay. Okay.
I had to click start webinar, so I don't know that we're in the panelist screen. Oh, maybe we are. I have no idea. But it's recording right now, just so you know.
Yeah, I know that was you have to create that setting from the beginning.
Okay.
So I also need to
It's the sunlight here.
oh.
There we go. That's a little better.
Okay, so now my problem is how do I get the presentation in in here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if people can hear us yet. It says there's 4 participants. Hi, everyone. Okay, I'll just do a screen share and then we can start at. So maybe we'll just start. Oh, yay. Yay, they can hear us. Welcome, everyone. So I think what we'll do is we'll just start when everybody, we'll start at 11 and then I'll just do a screen share so that it'll be us, and then we'll do a screen share. They can see the presentation, and then, yay, everyone's coming in. I sent everybody a reminder this morning because we had like a really great turnout, and of course, hopefully everyone will remember to come this morning, but we had a great turnout. And so, yeah, we had to move it over to the bigger hosting platform. So
Awesome.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so yeah, we'll, like I said, I'll share the screen and then I'll make the screen big. And then after the presentation's over, then you and I can answer some Q&A.
Perfect.
Sounds like a plan?
Sounds perfect.
So we've got Tina here. Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to be talking about service agreements this morning because it's just such an area I feel like that can transform a contractor's business. It's
absolutely. Plus, it's the perfect time of the year for it. We're getting service at the fall season.
I'm just going to step away for 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay. Mike?
Hello.
I can do the share, a screen share. Let's see. Ooh, messy desk there. Okay, so now I'm going to open this.
Oh, perfect.
And yes, okay, perfect. So I think we're in good shape, everyone.
Awesome.
And we're just gonna wait. Yeah, so how is everything, everyone? I can't hear anyone, but hopefully everyone's having, you know, some good business opportunities. I know it's a different world that we're living in right now, obviously.
Absolutely.
But the nice thing about these webinars is that we don't have to wear our masks, right?
Agreed. I'm up with the mask tan line now.
Yeah, I was visiting my parents, and they're in their late 70s with a couple of health issues. And the whole time I was there, I had to wear a mask because I obviously didn't want to, in case, you know, just to be safe. And it was not fun, that part of it.
Mhm. Especially when it's hot and humid.
Yes, exactly. How's the weather in Texas?
I think we'll probably hit like 90 today, so a little bit warm for this time of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
It's definitely in the high 80s, I would say, and very humid.
So normal day.
Yeah, normal. Normal for October. Everyone else is getting fall weather.
Yeah.
I'm going to just put this, start the first slide here. So yeah, this is, so basically, you know, for those, for everyone who's on, and again, we will continue, we'll just do a little housekeeping when we start, but we'll go through the presentation, and there's a lot of really great, valuable information in the presentation. And then it will be close to an hour, and then we'll have a few minutes afterwards to answer any Q&A. But if you can't participate in the Q&A, you can certainly reach out to us. Mike is the point of contact for P3 HVAC software, and he can certainly answer any questions you have, schedule a demo, share with you some of the testimonials and success stories of our customers that have used P3, right, to kind of transform their
Absolutely.
business.
Absolutely. First-hand knowledge, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. So and I'll share this when we start, but as a marketing consultant for HVAC companies and HVAC manufacturers and distributors for over 20 years, I've seen firsthand also how so many businesses, and I'm talking small mom and pop organizations, they've really transformed their businesses with service agreements. So I'm really excited to share some of these strategies that businesses can put in place. And it really is a mindset, you know, what we talked about, a culture to get everybody on board and get everybody involved and sort of share as a team.
Culture always starts at the top.
Yep. There we go. That's much better. Shut my ringer off. Okay. A few more minutes. For those of you that are on, thank you so much for coming. We're excited you took some time out of your day to hear about service agreements.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time because I know it's still hot in a lot of parts of the country. So
Mm-hmm. It is, which obviously in our business is it's a big deal. Are you all ready for your trade show? Everybody's doing virtual trade shows in HVAC these days, so that's going to be interesting.
they are. Yeah, tomorrow's gonna be my first one, so very excited to see what it holds, the flow, everything. So meet a lot of great dealers, phenomenal distributors putting it on. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's neat how we've sort of, pivoted to so many virtual, especially in our industry, because everybody, relationships are so important, and face to face and trade shows are really where you get to see so many people. But it'll be really cool to see. I've been to a few so far, these virtual conferences, and it is very neat. It's very neat. And they even have happy hours and things like that too.
Awesome. I'll make sure I bring the 6-pack.
So we're going to be doing a Prezi presentation, which is really cool for those of you who have never seen a Prezi presentation, but it's a really neat technology. It's been around for a while, but it's getting way more popular, especially now with so many people doing virtual conferences. It's a little more creative than just the average typical PowerPoint presentation. So we've got just a few more minutes and then we're going to get started. So I saw some familiar names when I was sending out the reminders this morning. So I'm excited to reconnect with some old friends.
Nice.
I've give away the trade secret that I've been in the HVAC industry for over 20 years now. So it's not the only space that I work in, but it is definitely something that I've been passionate about for a long time. So, and it's very specialized too. It's a unique environment and a unique market.
Awesome. Yeah, just a minute for 20 years there, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy when you think about, like, do you remember when we were celebrating the year 2000? That New Year's Eve, I just remember everybody thought the Y2K, everything was gonna change and everything worked out. So, but it just seems like yesterday. You're right. I mean, just a minute. And here we are.
I think we got a question in the queue as well, Cindy. Do you see that?
Let's see. Q&A.
Christopher's asking if this will be recorded so he can watch it later as a previous engagement.
Oh, yes, yes, we are recording it. And actually, we had such a big response. We're going to do an encore presentation too. So yes, if you feel like you are, you have to hop off for whatever reason, or you can't stay for the Q&A, don't feel like, there'll be other opportunities. We're actually going to be we're going to try to be having these monthly. We're going to do another one on flat rate, and probably proposal building and invoicing after that. So yeah. So maybe Mike, you can manage the questions since I'm gonna run the webinar. Okay.
Perfect. Sounds good. Yes,
So
Christopher. So we will go ahead and send you a link after this is done, and then that way you can watch it when you have a minute to breathe.
Yeah.
Appreciate
It'll take, yeah, it takes a little while for it to download to the cloud, and then we just have to edit the beginning part that is like unnecessary. The chatter before.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we will definitely get that out to all the participants. One more minute and then we'll get started. This is actually a great time. So many businesses that I've spoken with are actually, pivoting and really, really taking the time right now to put systems in place, because normally I know that a lot of HVAC businesses are busier than ever, but I think it's just a different climate right now. So people are taking the time to think strategically about how to grow their business, and systems and procedures they can put in place, and basically working, on the business instead of in the business. And I think that a lot of, I hear it all day long from contractors that, so many of them, the day starts and they're going, working, in the business instead of on the business. And these types of things hopefully will help you be able to scale the business quicker.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Service agreements.
It's 11 o'clock, so we are going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I am Cindy Metzler. I am a marketing consultant in the HVAC space for over 20 years. And I'm here with Mike Thorpe. He is the account executive with P3 HVAC Business Software. And Mike, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Hello. Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah, so we're excited to be here and share with you some knowledge about service agreements. Mike and I were saying before everybody got on, it's just one of those areas that we feel can be a tremendous area for growth for contractors and businesses. And having been in the space for so many years, I literally have watched companies that have put systems in place with service agreements triple and even 10 times their business. It's one of those things that really helps you through times that are ups and downs. And we all know in the HVAC industry, there are definitely ups and downs. There's lulls and different times of year that are really busy. So, and we're going to go through all of that today. So I think we'll jump right in and get started.
Perfect.
Okay. So basically, the title of our presentation is Make 50K the P3 Way. So we're going to talk about 7 simple steps for HVAC success. Implementing a flat rate pricing system is one of them. Turning more repairs into replacements. Maximizing every service call. Generating more leads. Boosting equipment sales, getting efficient, and selling more service agreements. So all of these things in conjunction, obviously, it's a lot of moving parts, but these are all things that P3 helps you manage, the HVAC software. So sell more service agreements, and we're going to get right here. Course objective, we're going to demonstrate how to make at least $7,500 a year using proven P3 strategies. And this $7,500 is literally a very conservative number based on very small mom and pop companies. So we just wanted to start low and have realistic expectations, but with the systems and procedures that you can put in place with P3, and hopefully even without P3, you can learn some things today that can help you get there. So this is a really interesting video. It's kind of fun and it's a little bit lengthy, but we're starting with this because we just want to share with you something about mindset. So we are used to doing things a certain way in life, in business, in HVAC. And when we shift our mindset, lots of things can happen. It opens the door to possibility. So this is a really fun video we decided to include just to sort of share that principle. So when you see it, you might say, okay, what does this have to do with service agreements? But you'll understand as we go what the purpose of it is. And it's really fun. So it's a great way to start, we thought. Oops. For some reason, it didn't go. Let's see what happened there. Sorry about that, guys. Technology.
You know it's got to happen that way.
Okay.
Are you hearing it, Cindy? Cindy, there's no sound. I think you're the only one hearing it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I thought everyone could hear that. I'm not sure why everyone can hear it, but the gist of the presentation is basically that, we're taught how to ride a bike a certain way. And then all of a sudden, if we're trying to, learn something different, I'm going to try it one more time and see if this works. Can anybody hear? Can we hear the presentation?
No.
No. Okay, no problem. So anyway, what happens is all of these people try to learn how to ride the bicycle, And basically nobody's able to do it until they get a child on here to learn how to just try it without a preconceived notion. And the children are able to do it because they do not have any resistance or a preconceived notion about things. So all of us have, especially if you've been in the HVAC industry for a long time, you already have a preconceived notion about service agreements. And that's the, obviously the tie-in here, that, sometimes you just have to change your way of thinking in order to, move ahead or have different opportunity. So there we go. And now we are going to go to the next slide. And you guys, we practice this a lot, so I'm not sure what's going on with the next slide here. Dashboard Prezi. Let's see. Oh, this is service agreements. Here we go. We'll just skip over that and start. So my apologies. Yeah, so anyway, we thought that would be a fun video to incorporate, but at least you understand the underlying messaging there is that, we do get set in our ways with what our belief systems are. And I know that some people have great experiences with service agreements. Some people have not so great experiences with service agreements. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity to, just move forward and talk about how we can move past, there we go. So basically, what are service agreements? Put simply, service agreements are relationship building tools that allow the contractor to capitalize on the 4 things customers want. Customers want you to like them. Service agreement gives you the opportunity to show the customer you want their business just as much as they want your service. Customers want to know that you care. So a service agreement gives you the opportunity to show customers you care about their comfort, their investment, their safety, and health. So again, it's all about the positioning of the service agreement. So you're not selling them something that they don't need. You're selling them something that, is going to help them. Customers want the ability to trust you. So a service agreement provides you the opportunity to establish a long-standing rapport that leads to trust. And again, this is about a long-term relationship, marrying your customer, basically having them partner with you in your business so that they know you, they trust you, you're there year after year, whether it's twice a year that you're going in there checking on things. Because, let's face it, in the air conditioning business, people don't necessarily remember who you are unless the air conditioner breaks down. So that's something just to keep in mind. This is a great way to keep your business steady, but also keep you in front of the consumer. And I know Mike has some stories about contractors that have, basically grown and, created long-standing relationships and trust with service agreements.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, service agreements will really help you in several different ways. Not only number one, which we'll get into more down the road, but gaining more customers for you. But how do you take that initial chance with that initial customer and create that long-lasting relationship? In other words, a lot of value with that customer. And service agreements is one of the biggest ways you can actually do that.
Yeah, and basically customers want you to be assured, that you know what you're talking about. And obviously, that's another competitive advantage. Positioning yourself as an expert in your field, it's an excellent way to demonstrate your expertise. So why do HVAC companies need service agreements? They create proactive sales rather than reactive sales. So I'm going to let Mike speak to this because this is a really, really important factor. This, again, we all know about the bell curve in the HVAC space. And, you know, when it's hot, everyone needs air conditioning companies, heating, cooling. But when it's not, these are great tools to basically be able to stay in front of the customer and top of mind.
You pretty much you pretty much summed it up perfectly, Cindy. Bottom line, at the end of the day, I think there's no big secret here. The HVAC industry has ups and downs, correct? Seasonal. It can be very seasonal, whether it's the heat season or the cooling season, whatever that case may be, for the region that you live in. So what do you do in them other times to create business? So you're more than happy to advertise and spend money and stuff like that, which is also a very important factor. But if you have this huge database of customers that have already done business with you and they want to continue to do business with you, well, now in your slow seasons, you can do things such as tune-ups, which is no secret, maintenance agreements, stuff like that. But this will really help you stay steady throughout the year by growing your service agreement base.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to mention is, even if you don't have a huge database, like if you are a small company and you are seeing 5 customers a week, service agreements can really help you grow your business faster, because you're constantly you have secure customers in the future. And then also, this is something that I think is really important: growing your business by attracting and keeping top talent. We all know that is one of the most biggest pain points in the HVAC space, is attracting and keeping top talent. It's hard to find good people, and when you do find them, you want to be able to keep them. And the great thing, the beauty of the service agreement culture and sort of integrating that into your business, is that you're going to be able to, you know, have consistency during down times and during down season, because you know that you're guaranteed business because of the service agreements. Again, a ticket to retirement. So maybe not everybody's thinking about this, but you know, it is important to start thinking of succession planning, and also the fact that, I mean, even if you're starting out as a new person in the HVAC space, service agreements are the ticket to retirement, because you could sell your business with a giant book of business and service agreements for a heck of a lot more than if you did not have service agreements. So it really is, it really monetizes your business, and it helps, you know, helps make it more valuable.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple things in there, and through the last lines that you've mentioned is, let's talk about keeping the top talent. It's brutal out there right now for you guys, and we're all aware of that as well. If you can keep these guys busy on a consistent basis, and you have this huge database, or at least you're starting to build that database of customers, you'll be able to retain guys a lot easier. Number two, for those of you that are not aware, because the number one thing that I hear on a consistent basis when I share service agreement or have a conversation about that, is guys are scared about taking on service agreements, because how do they stay on top of them? How do they manage that once you get to that 300, 500,000 number bigger? How do you manage that? Well, I got good news. There's automations out there, guys, that'll do that for you. P3 is one of them. So if that's what's preventing you from going after and pursuing and creating that service agreement culture, these are all problems that are easily solved and will help you. The next thing Cindy was about to talk about is they're the cheapest way to get business. So Cindy could talk about this a little bit more, but what I hear is the average cost for you guys to bring a customer into your company is around $350. The service agreement customer, you already paid that $350 initially, but now you brought them into your service agreement family, and you're not paying that $350 and waiting for that reactive sale. In other words, just answering phones, waiting for something to happen. Now you got proactive, plus you're actually saving yourself and increasing the company margins along the way.
Yeah, and honestly, in my mind, it's something that the consumer needs. They really need it, because they've just made a big investment, or perhaps they have an older unit. it really helps them to, and again, it's a mindset thing. It's not like you're selling them something that they don't need. It's like, it's same thing with a car. And I know we've all used this analogy. If you purchase a new car and you don't ever get the oil changed, or you have an old car and you don't ever get the oil changed, it's obviously going to break down. So it's a great way to maintain. Also, again, as Mike said, it's a very inexpensive way to get new business when, you know, it is difficult. As we all know, it's so competitive. Pay-per-click advertising is ridiculously expensive. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I'm just saying it's very expensive in certain markets. And, you know, this sort of puts you in the driver's seat where you're controlling, you know, basically your business opportunities. It's the path to the social media bandwagon too. So you're able to create testimonials, you're able to share stories, you're able to build a community and loyal customers, which is really important as well.
And that bandwagon is gigantic, Cindy. I mean, as a marketing professional yourself, you know this. It's how do you build that audience for you and your business, right? So whether you're creating private Facebook groups for your customers, so you could call it the ABC Inc. Facebook group, whatever that case may be, but you have to start building that audience or that group that you can evangelize to, and it will create that family atmosphere no matter which social media platform you're using. But you definitely, it starts with the service agreements.
Yeah, it really does. And honestly, from what I've seen, those are the contractors who really differentiate themselves, the ones that are creating that community with the service agreements, with, you know, the add-ons that they're offering, with educational tools, indoor air quality, whatever it is. And these are financing. These are all things that can be automated through P3, but you can also, you know, do it manually or do it yourself if you want to go that route. So this one says, do you want heat waves and lightning storms to determine your annual revenue, or do you want to determine your annual revenue? So again, reactive sales versus proactive sales. And I think we all get the picture here. So it's something that, you know, and it's so funny because, you know, as a homeowner, a consumer, and a mom also, I see this even being, you know, if I wasn't in the AC space, I see this all the time. Moms putting out, you know, my AC broke down. Does someone have a referral? And I always think to myself, clearly whoever serviced their unit in the first place did not do a good job marketing to them, because they already have the equipment, but they don't have a relationship with the installer. And I think that's the key here. This service agreement culture helps you build that relationship and that long-term, you know, marriage of sorts between you and your customer. So it fosters business growth by creating a stable and appealing employee environment too. And honestly, we can't say this enough, because obviously this is a huge pain point. It's a fact. It's so hard to get valuable employees, good employees in the HVAC space, whether it's technicians, whether it's customer service representatives. And by the way, this service agreement is a culture. It's something that comes from the top, and every single point of contact within the organization should be on this service agreement bandwagon. And by the way, P3 obviously has, you know, it automated, so it makes it very simple to sell. It gives the contractor the tool to be able to make these choices. I'm sorry, the homeowner to be able to make these choices, and it gives your technician the tool in a very non-salesy way. So according to HVACR magazine, the #1 challenge that stagnates growth is the inability to attract and retrain qualified technicians. Again, this is not new information. I think we all know that that's one of the biggest pain points. A large service agreement base, and I'll let you speak to this, Mike, fosters business growth by creating a stable and appealing employee environment. 300, 300 service agreements, according to HVACR magazine, the #1 challenge that stagnates growth. So do you want to speak to this, Mike?
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many advantages to being in the service agreement business as well, and creating that culture, such as right here. The average technician actually can sell on average, again, average 300 service agreements a year. So not even one a day. It's like 20 a month, whatever that number is, 20, 25. And that's just one technician. So now if you imagine that if you compound that over 5, 10 years and during the term of your business, imagine how many service agreements you're going to have times your techs and as you grow and stuff like that. The thing again is, and I know this is a really big pain point for you guys right now in the industry, is finding people who actually want to go out and be a HVAC technician and finding quality within that person. And I can tell you, if you can keep good guys busy and you're keeping money in their pocket because your company is busy, your company is growing, there's opportunity, it's not going to be so hard to retain them individuals. Yeah, you're still going to need to recruit as you grow, but you're going to find it's a lot easier to retain guys and keep things going in a forward motion when you really create that service agreement culture.
And the beauty of P3 too, everything's automated. So it's there. So they don't have to be reminded. It's part of the proposal building tool. If they don't want it, they can opt out of it. But that's the cool thing. It's part of like when the CSR answers the phone, it's something that's embedded in the culture of the company. So every single touch point, people are talking about it. And you'd be very surprised how it becomes, really automated into the system. And so you don't have to, and again, of course you can create incentives and do certain, fun things for, top performing techs that are selling more service agreements, but it's also something that's really, really valuable for the consumer. I know when I have issues, I'm sort of at the top of the list with my HVAC company because I have a service agreement with them. Again, service agreements are a component to your business valuation and represent your ticket to retirement. So it's asset-based versus going concern value. So again, these are the types of things that are, if you put two companies next to each other that had everything exactly the same, one company had 1,000 service agreements and one company had 5. That company is going to be worth an astronomical amount more money to sales if you ever want to sell it, if you have a plan in the future. And again, even if you don't want to sell it, it just helps grow your business in a very smart way.
Absolutely. And Cindy, I want to touch on this for a minute because I think a lot of guys misunderstand. So let's take, for example, you've been in business for 20 years and you have chosen not to create that service agreement culture. Just because you have 20 years of customers that keep calling you back does not make your business value out more than somebody that's actually on a service agreement contract, right? That company that has lived by and pushed the service agreements all the way throughout that 20 years is pretty much exactly what you said, astronomically different in that price number. The reason why is that customer is now considered an asset. It's something that you can actually sell. Telling somebody, or if you think about it from your way, if you're willing to buy, if you're looking to buy another HVAC business and the guy looks at you and says, well, yeah, but I have all these customers and they just call me back every year, versus you look at a different business and they have people on contract and there's 1,000 of them or 500, 30,000, whatever that number may be, which one are you going to buy? You know what I mean? Which one's the sure bet?
Exactly. And the other thing is, I've been to so many training classes and boot camps and masterminds with HVAC, trainers, and they're all amazing, but sometimes they can be extremely overwhelming. And frankly, this is a simple solution that you can put in your business and you can see it affect your bottom line immediately. And the other thing is, even if you're already selling service agreements, when you automate it in a way within the software, it makes it so much easier to track and also to keep top of mind for your employees. Service agreements are the cheapest way to get additional business. So I'll let Mike speak to this, but yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer too.
Absolutely, and I think you're probably more of the marketing pro on this one, obviously, Cindy. But again, I shared this with you guys a little bit earlier. The number that I hear on average that it costs you to get that phone to ring. So every time you answer that phone, that person's worth $350 to you. Okay, or that person's, I'm sorry, costing you $350. So how do you take that $350 initial investment and have it keep paying off for you? Is offer a service agreement, offer some value, offer a way to help solve that customer's problem with a service agreement of not having to worry who they're going to call next time, stuff like that. And we'll get into this a little bit more here in a couple of minutes, but if you guys are really looking to truly save yourself some money in advertising, as Cindy was mentioning, the pay-per-click, Google Ads, all that can become very expensive depending on who's managing that campaign for you. So definitely the service agreements will bring in a ton of additional revenue at a much lower cost.
Yeah, and the lifetime value of the customer is really what we're looking at here. I mean, and again, we've seen it again and again where companies that have this service agreement culture. And as Mike said, you know, if it costs $350, and sometimes it costs a lot more, sometimes it costs less, but that's about the average to obtain a new customer. Once you have, and of course there's attrition, so once you have this service agreement relationship, it's a long-term loyal relationship. So you're not having to reinvent the wheel and have to go out and continuously get new customers. Service agreements give you the best opportunity to get engaged with social media, and this is critical to growth. So again, we started talking about this before, but consumers are 71% more likely to make a purchase based on social media referrals. And when consumers have service agreements, again, I'll use myself as an example, even though I happen to be a marketer in HVAC, but I'm also a homeowner and a mom. I'm involved in lots of different Facebook groups with moms, with communities, with schools, and they're always asking about you know, air conditioning contractors when their AC goes out. So these are opportunities when you have a loyal follower and relationship with, you know, a consumer, a homeowner, they're going to be obviously much more likely to make a recommendation for you. 74% of consumers rely on social networks to guide purchasing decisions. 44% of female social media users say bloggers influence their purchase decision. This is another just important factor with Facebook and social media. It helps build community and relationships. And you don't have to be posting every single day, but even if you post, you know, because if you don't have the manpower, obviously if you do, then it would be valuable to post every day. But if you don't, even just post once a week with something going on internally, the person at the front desk, one of your texts, highlight, because people love seeing people, and a recent install, things like that. But it keeps you in front of your customer, your potential customers, and it builds that rapport and that long-term relationship. And here it says, improve your company's reputation by online responding to all mentions on social media in a quick, helpful manner. You should interact with customers who are saying positive things about your online and share their comments for others to see. So yeah, I feel like this is another huge tool, and it goes hand in hand with service agreements. And by the way, service agreement customers, if you have, you know, a relationship for years, are probably more than happy to give you reviews and to also share something that you can share on your social media channels, because those are really powerful.
Absolutely. I was actually reading something the other day, Cindy, and I'm pretty sure it was Google that had put this out. I came across an article, and it said 86% of all internet searches right now are from a mobile device.
Yeah,
So
no, it's crazy how
it's,
everything is mobile right now.
mhm.
Everything. People are, you know, searching for restaurants, for hotels, definitely for HVAC. So we're in that space.
Mhm.
Why do HVAC companies need service agreements? So we, again, create a proactive sales rather than reactive. This is recapping growing business by attracting, keeping top talent, your ticket to retirement, the cheapest way to get business. and again, keep you on that social media bandwagon. And what should be included. So here are some things, and again, we can sort of help guide you to this. We have templates, obviously with P3, we have lots of tools that you can automate and integrate into your system, but you want to make it special. So you want the customer to feel special. You want to make it easy. But at the same time, comprehensive. So you don't want it to be 12 pages, but you want them to see that they're getting a value. So like a checklist with what they're getting. You want to make it reoccurring. So this is another thing we're going to get into in the second half of the webinar, which I think is a no-brainer. Everyone is moving to membership types of reoccurring revenue streams. And this actually helps, again, you have a steady income during on season and off season, and you can position it any way you want. It doesn't have to be twice a year. It doesn't have to be one time. You can create a monthly membership fee service agreement culture in your company as well. Make it educational. So it's, again, you're the expert in the field, and the homeowner is relying on you to teach them what they need. And again, make it tangible. So again, so we're going to go into a little more detail, and I'll piggyback on Mike with this, but just making it special, meaning, maybe include some discounts, priority status. As I said, I know with the company that I work with, I definitely, when I call, when I have an emergency, they are out here like immediately. So there's a huge value with that too, with consumers. You can create a loyalty program, like a frequent user program, and then keep these things. So that's sort of your ace in the hole. So again, 70% feel loyalty programs are part of their relationship with the company. I mean, there's so many companies that have loyalty programs. And by the way, they work. That's why they have them, that people come in again and again and they're getting rewarded. I know CVS has them. I mean, I love when I get a nice $5 extra bucks coupon from CVS, because I'm in there buying stuff for the kids all the time. But these are the types of things, and you can incorporate that into your service agreement where they're getting a bonus for what they're doing. They're getting a discount, things of that nature.
Absolutely. I mean, just let's take that top left one, 69%. So 3 out of 4 customers are saying they're influenced because of a business's loyalty and rewards program. So I think if you put something like that on your website, or you advertise that and went in with that and let people know that, hey, down below, you're getting that 10% off coupon. If you look to the right, that's exactly the percentages that it's going to save you on business overall.
Right. 80% agree that loyalty programs are worth the effort. 82% of small business owners say that loyalty customers were the main way they grew their business. So these are strong, strong statistics. Again, keep that ace in the hole. Making it easy is super important. As again, you want to keep it really simple and make sure that it's easy to understand. But again, have some meat and potatoes to it. You don't want to overwhelm them, but make sure it includes things that are, you explain them in layman's terms, but they feel like there's a value associated with it.
Yeah, service agreements should always be a 1-page, easy to read, easy, and then that second thing you're just talking about, I think you kind of skipped past it, but make it comprehensive. So what do we mean by that, guys, is have a diagnostic checklist. So have something that you can show that customer that, hey, this is what I did for you today. I can tell you, so P3 is located in Houston, Texas, so we get a little warm down here. But I've had HVAC contractors out to my house as well. And me and the owner was just talking the other day. They had somebody out there about a month ago. The guy was in and out of there in 5 minutes. Okay. That's, if you come to my house and you're in and out of there in 5 minutes, I get it that it's hot. I get it that you're trying to move fast, but you're not providing value to that customer by doing that. So make it comprehensive. And what I mean by that is do a checklist, offer them something to show them what you did.
There's a value. Absolutely. There's a value in that, because then they can see it and they know what you've done. Because you know what, I equate an AC visit to, honestly, it's like an analogy is like a surgeon. You don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. You have no idea, and you're hoping you hire the right person to do the right thing. And we've all seen like online those HVAC hacks, which sometimes they're not the right thing. But for those of us that are doing the right thing, it's really valuable for the consumer to see that easy checklist to show, okay, this is what I paid for and this is what I'm getting. And then they're going to be, sure enough, they'll sign up for it again. So again, this is something we feel like is extremely powerful, making it reoccurring, monthly payments, a monthly newsletter, a filter program. I mean, these are things, and again, think about, all of us happen to be in this space, but consumers don't remember to change their filter. They don't remember to change the light on their UV light. It's,
I don't.
put it in and it's right. So exactly. So it's something that you put these things on a reoccurring automated payment system, and it's actually a favor that you're doing. I love it when I'm on a reoccurring thing, because then I don't have to worry about it. It orders automatically. I don't have to think about, oh my gosh, I have to remember. I mean, we're in, an instantaneous world. Millennials, everybody wants things now. So it and life is complicated too. There's so many things that you have to remember to do, kids, family, homes. So having these things, it's actually streamlining things for your customer as well. And this is something also that P3 helps to automate for you. Again, making it educational. So you want to position yourself as a subject matter expert, which you are. You want to keep it simple, but also these educational tools help position yourself as an expert and build trust with the homeowner. So that's also going to lead to increased sales.
Absolutely. I mean, just like your analogy you used a couple of minutes ago with the surgeon, right? So if you go in for surgery, I don't need to know every single step you're doing, but I do need to understand what you're going to do, right? Because this is it could possibly be a life-changing decision. Now, obviously, HVAC is not a life-changing decision. However, it's a big deal to the customer because they're looking at a piece of machinery that they truly don't understand. So if you take a minute and educate them and show them, which our software already comes preloaded with that, but show them where it sits on the machine. What does it do? What caused that failure? And then here's why I need to fix it. You hit a couple of them points, they're going to do business with you again, over and over and over again, and they're going to sign that service agreement hands down every single time.
Yeah. And I just want to say, honestly, I do think in this day and age that HVAC is life-changing because air quality is so important right now.
Well.
People are, really, and there's so many articles in all the, the big HVAC publications that are coming out right now about how important, not even the ancillary products, although those are obviously extremely important and valuable right now to consumers, but even the HVAC equipment itself, keeping it at top performance, making sure that, the coils are not old, that there's not debris, that, there's dust, all of those things play into, keeping you healthy, which obviously is more important than ever right now in the climate that we're in.
You're actually 100% right. Absolutely.
And again, making it tangible, something that they can see, hear, smell, speak, and touch. What should be included in service agreements? Again, this is recapping, making it special, easy, comprehensive, reoccurring, educational, and tangible. And now we're going to just touch on how to sell, creating the service agreement culture. As we've touched on already, every single touch point in your organization should be aware that you have a service agreement culture. And that comes from the top, honestly. Like I can't tell you how many trainings and events I've been to. And that's why we wanted to share the bicycle analogy, because a lot of people get stuck in their way of thinking that, oh, the person at the front desk is too busy, they don't have time to touch on it, or the tech is not a salesperson and it's a burden for him to do that. So let's just overcome those obstacles. I mean, again, P3 is a great tool to help overcome those obstacles because it makes it automated. But even without P3, you could certainly build a culture of service agreements within your organization by creating, different excitement around it, maybe incentives, or maybe it's just, this is the way it is. Moving forward, this is the way it is. And everybody has a checklist that when they answer the phone, it's something they have to ask about. When they go in the field, it's just something that has to be communicated. And as we all know, repetition is the key to success. People forget. So again, that's why P3 is valuable, or another tool to kind of keep it top of mind. But the service agreement culture starts at the top, and then and then everybody within the organization gets on the bandwagon.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that for a couple more minutes, Cindy, or a couple more seconds, is, guys, if you're really trying to figure out, guys and gals, if you're really trying to figure out how to institute that culture, number one, it's got to start with you as the owner, the manager, whatever that situation would be. Number two, you got to have a plan or goals, right? So we mentioned earlier, each technician within your business should be good for 25 service agreements per month, okay? The dispatcher, the scheduler, the person that answers the phone, the office manager, everybody in your business, if they pick up that phone and that customer is not a service agreement customer, they should always address that customer's concerns, get the appointment scheduled, stuff like that. But hey, by the way, I noticed you weren't one of our VIP members, whatever the situation may be. Have you heard anything about that? In other words, not only just put it in a text lapse, but put it in your dispatchers, your schedulers, and spiff them. So for every time they get somebody to say, hey, yes, I need that technician to tell me more about the service agreement when they show up, give them a spiff, create that incentive, pretty much what Cindy said. But every single person on your team should have a goal or a standard that is met for you as far as service agreements go.
Right. Again, how to sell 2-column invoice. I'll let Mike speak to this and the competitive advantages. And I want to keep moving along because we have a lot of other really valuable information, but you don't, an incomplete diagnostic, loss leader campaign. These are all things, strategic partnerships. Again, you could have strategic partnerships with a roofer, an electrician. I mean, people that are also going in there and making recommendations, even realtors. I've done campaigns with HVAC contractors, with realtors. Every time they sell a home, a new home, a service agreement goes in there as a gift, a first, maybe not the first year, but the first visit is free. And then that starts to get their foot in the door and build that culture. So that's what we mean when we say strategic partnerships, and they're incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. Just to go back to that 2-column invoice for a minute, Cindy, that's
Sure.
a big, big deal. Okay, so if you're presenting an invoice to a customer, and let's say in this situation, they're already a service agreement customer, that invoice or that document that you're showing them should show them how much money they're saving by being a service agreement customer. If you're just giving an invoice and they're just taking your word for it that you gave them the discount, most customers don't assume that. Nowadays, it just doesn't work that way. So your invoice should have 2 columns, the service agreement price and then the regular price that everybody else is paying. And that's where P3 really can help you. The next one, the incomplete diagnostic, that's one of the worst things you can do. And we've already touched on that, so I won't beat a dead horse. But if you show up and you do a 5 or 10 minute maintenance or tune-up, you're not going to be able to retain your customers because nobody sees value in that, okay? And this is 15 years of experience talking on that. So loss leader campaigns, I thought that was a great idea what you said with the realtors, the strategic partnerships. I mean, that's all big stuff. Big stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing is, just again, when you go back to the 2-column invoice, it puts the consumer in control. It makes them see. And if they don't want it, that's fine, but then they're opting out of it and they can see what the difference of what they're missing, and it puts them in control. So you're not, your technician who is a technician, not a salesperson, then they get to just show the options, and it really gives the consumer the feeling that they're making the decision. Accepting monthly payments, that's a huge one. Auto renewals for service agreements, that's huge as well. And again, all of this, it might seem overwhelming, but there's lots of simple tools out there like P3 that can help you automate all of this. An old house versus a new house. I'm just going through these quickly, but Mike, feel free to chime in if you, a new system, a 10-year plan.
Yeah, I think them last two are some of the biggest things that are missed. I'll come back to the auto renewal here in a couple slides, but the old house versus new house, you guys should have on your service agreement that if this, because average homeowner spends what, 3 to 5 years in their home nowadays, so they're constantly on the move. Is as long as it's still within your service area, that the service agreement will automatically transfer. I think you should make that a point. Next, new systems. If you're not bundling new system sales, in other words, if you're not providing that value that you're that one-stop shop, and what I mean by that, hey, Mr. Customer, I'm selling you this whatever it costs system today, but now guess what? I'm going to go ahead and include a 10-year service agreement on it. Even if you threw it in on the equipment sale or marked up your equipment pricing to make up for that 10-year service agreement, you guys are way ahead of the game, because now for the next 10 years, you have that system, that homeowner under contract to do business with you.
Exactly. And then community. Again, we're repeating this, but this is so important, whether it's building community within, in the home, through the service agreements, through social media. This is what differentiates the, multi-million dollar AC HVAC organization from the mom and pop, where it's really transactional, and that's exactly what we want to get away from. I mean, everything right now is experiential. Everything. It's like you go to an Airbnb, and now they have bicycles, they have brochures with everything in the area that you go to. It's not just you're buying something and it's tactical, and that's something that really can differentiate your business from your competitor. Especially, most air conditioning, heating and cooling firms are owned by families, which is another great reason that it should be very community oriented. Use the tools and strategies to reach an extra 75K. Again, this is a benchmark that we are using as a tool, but we've seen contractors, honestly, I did a testimonial recently with a P3 customer who said it was $75,000. So it really, this is just a very conservative number, but pricing the service agreements, determining the direct and indirect profit earned from the service agreement, and setting target goals. So anything you want to add to that, Mike?
No, I think the pricing of the service agreement is key. So, and I'm going to come back more to this, but I don't think if you're on the monthly plan, and I'll come back into this more here in a couple of minutes, but I think you're making a mistake currently right now. And I'll tell you why here in a couple of minutes. But as far as number two, determining your direct and indirect profit, every business needs an accountant, right? So sit down with your accountant and they can really help you out. Obviously, having the lights on costs you money. Sending a guy the gas costs money. Having all these costs figured out so that you're truly setting up a profitable business is one of the biggest things. And then obviously everybody needs goals.
Right. Okay, so the price of the service agreement, again, price is cost over the desired margin. So you can speak to this, Mike. I know we have 10 minutes left, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I want to try to get through the rest of the presentation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think more or less we already spoke about this here just in the last slide, but get with an accountant. If you're not sure how to truly calculate costs, because I can tell you I have conversations with some owners on a daily basis, and they believe their cost is what they're buying their equipment for from the distributor. That's actually not the case. So your cost is the lights, the gas, the trucks, everything else. So there's a lot more things involved in that cost. So sometimes I see where a lot of guys make mistakes is they just take that $3,000 system, if that's what you're buying it for, and then mark it up 20%, 30%, 50%, whatever that margin is, and they think they're good. It doesn't quite work that way. So please take the time to get it with an accountant if you haven't already, and they'll definitely help you out with that.
Yeah, costing is so important. Again, I've seen, businesses transform because sometimes you have to walk away, like if it's not a matter of just cash flow coming in and going out. It's exactly what Mike said. If it doesn't make sense, if you're, buying a unit for 4,000 and selling it for 5,000 and you have, I'm just using round numbers, of course, and then you have to pay your employees and overhead and rent and all of this. And then you all of a sudden look and say, okay, I made $1 on that install or I lost money on it. Then obviously this is so important just to fine tune what your costing strategy is. Yep. Setting target goals, service agreement sales targets, service agreement profit over, and then again, whatever that goal is. And then you can empower your staff to be part of this. I find that companies that are transparent with their employees, and granted, they don't have to get into all the nitty gritty, but companies that are transparent with their employees about where they are and where they want to go, really get involved and really make it a mission of their own.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to have the team going in the same direction, right? So it needs to be a team goal.
Yeah, so these are just some of the ideas I know over the years. And again, I've been in the space for a long time. I've seen contractors use attaboys, giveaways, lottery cards, things that are motivational. And again, what if we sell 3% of our new customer equipment? It all translates to the bottom line. Pricing the service agreement, determining direct and indirect profit earned from the service agreement, and then setting target goals and having everyone on board. Whether that could be as simple as, putting a whiteboard or a poster board when in your office or in the kitchen area of your office. It's just something that you hand out so that they're aware and they get excited about it. This is a great analogy with Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers charges a very small fee on a monthly basis, and they're like $1 billion company. So people, and it really is about the masses, and people see that there's a value. And the other thing I wanted to say, and this goes to, this is similar to Netflix. Think about how much money people spend on Netflix, or even tools that, Netflix, most people use when they subscribe to it. But there's lots of subscriptions. Sometimes I look and I'm like, I have Audible, for example, as a subscription. It's a monthly subscription. Do I use it monthly to listen to books? Not always. There were months sometimes that I would go without using it at all. Now I've started to get back into it. But the point is, people set it and forget it. And I'm not saying that you don't want to provide value, but the beauty of that is that if it's a small monthly fee, it's a lot more palatable to the consumer. It means that you constantly have a cash flow coming in, and they're more than likely not to cancel that subscription because you are staying in front of them, whether it's twice a year, whether it's, through an email newsletter, whether it's just touching base. But again, if you take it even a step further with service agreements and you get them on a filter program where they're paying a small monthly subscription, and you go out there, whether it's every month or every few months to change the filter, it's another great way to stay in front of them, because our industry is an industry. It's not like your primary care physician or your pediatrician for your kids or your dentist that you remember who they are. I remember when I was younger, I never knew who. I would go and look at the sticker on the air conditioning, and then I would say a year later, 2 years later, who was that again? Like, you just don't know. So, you make the extra effort to get in front of the customer whether it's through service agreements or these auto renewal type of situations, and they will certainly remember you. Then there's top of mind awareness. So you are, you know, more like that pediatrician who you obviously have a relationship with and you know who they are right away when people ask.
And I can't tell you how important, guys and gals, this recurring income is for a couple different reasons. And Cindy already touched on a little bit, but if you think about almost every single thing in our life, it's recurring. So we've been conditioned. I hear on a daily basis, hey, well, that's not going to work in my area. I promise you it will. Microsoft Office. So if you want Microsoft Word, Excel, something like that, guess what? You got to pay a monthly fee. Apple, your cell phone, your cars, your home, everything nowadays is a subscription or monthly fee. So that customer is
And
already
again, it's palatable.
correct. Customers are already in the mindset that the monthly fee is okay. The monthly fee is going to do a couple different things for you in your business. Number one, when times are slow, you still have that recurring income coming in every single month. And as your service agreement base grows, so does that recurring income, right? So now all of a sudden, instead of collecting that $100 or $300 check, whatever you're charging for your service agreements, now you're collecting that $29.99, $19.99, whatever that number is that you decide you want to sell, that's coming in every single month. Number two, pretty much what Cindy just said, it's palatable. Customers we're already conditioned for it. Customers already pay on a monthly basis. And most of them, you just hit the credit card every single month and it's a win-win for everybody involved. So if you're not doing it, I think you should seriously consider it. If you don't have an automation or a way to make that happen, please reach out to me. Be more than happy to help you out with that, but it's really a big deal for you guys.
Yeah, and we didn't really touch on financing, but that's another thing too. That's a monthly subscription, really. Instead of paying, you know, $5, $10, $15,000 for like Mac Daddy piece of equipment, you are, you know, having a small monthly fee, which, you know, honestly, it's not like you're buying. I'm going to sound like a woman now, but a granite countertop where everybody sees it and loves it and oohs and ahs over it versus an air conditioner, which, by the way, in my opinion, is even more important for your home comfort, heating and cooling, and indoor air quality. But it's one of those grudge decisions that people don't really want to write a check for $5,000, or that maybe they don't have the money to write a check right now for $5,000 or $10,000. So the monthly subscription for that, which is really financing again, which is incorporated into our P3 software. So this is a video. We're going to go closing. I don't know if it's going to work because we had issues with the video before. So I'm thinking that we'll just skip it. But Mike, were there any questions that we had that we can answer? And again, you know, Mike's email is mike@hvacbusinesssolutions.com. You can also go to hvacbusinesssolutions.com and fill out the demo on the bottom of the screen. Even if you're not interested in the P3 HVAC software, I think it's really valuable to get the demo because you learn about just different systems and procedures that you can put in place, even if it's not with us. You know, even if it's not with P3, you can certainly garner information and education that can help you streamline your business and put some systems in place to make it more beneficial and hopefully more profitable. That's the key.
Absolutely.
About working smarter, not harder. I think we're all in that mode right now. The pandemic sort of gave everybody a pause to realize, you know, things are working 12, 14, 16 hours in attics and running to homes is, you know, is not always the most profitable way to run your business.
Agreed. Yeah, and right now we don't have any Q&A, so let's go ahead and open it up. Does anybody have any questions or anything we can answer for you?
One thing I would recommend, Mike, maybe you can just tell them a little bit about the onboarding with P3, because it's very simple. And one of the competitive advantages is that, the team at P3 actually onboards and integrates everything. So it's not like, I know a lot of companies that I talk to, it's like they don't have systems in place because they're afraid it's going to be overwhelming and it's going to take too long. And you know what? It's a great time to actually put a system in place. And the nice thing, and also the competitive advantage with P3, is that there's a team that helps you integrate it. So you're not on your own. It's not like we hand it over to you and you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest differences with us, for everybody listening out there, is we don't give you, first of all, you're assigned a dedicated account manager. Our account managers are the best in the business. Been doing this for several years. Number two, a lot of the software programs, and I think a lot of it has to deal with, they don't care whether you're a roofer, an electrician, a general contractor, their software is somewhat vanilla or has to work for everybody, right? Because that's who they're selling to. The nice thing about P3 is we're HVAC only. So we cater to you guys. All of our software improvements come from a dealer council. So we get together with the group of our longest customers, and they tell us, hey, let's see, I want to see this, I want to see that. So we're actually developed and created by fellow HVAC business owners. The onboarding process with us is super easy. The nice thing is once you turn that system on, you don't have to go in and set up templates. You don't have to set all this other stuff up. We enter your price book, your models, your matchups. We have a conversation with you about your margins, your markup. So when you turn that thing on, you're ready to sell, or you're ready to go out and present and help that customer solve a problem, educate them throughout the process. All your factory brochures are uploaded, your flat rate pricing, scheduling, dispatching. I mean, we're your A to Z solution, and there to truly help you guys grow in every single way, and always available.
Yeah, and a couple things I want to say real quick, and then Michael check, just if there's a question in there. But another competitive advantage I just like to say is that HVAC Business Solutions has been in business for well over a decade, and a lot of companies are just new to the space. Not to say there's anything wrong with them, but I feel like the longevity and the experience speaks volumes with P3 HVAC software. And I love, there's a tagline that we use that says, we're not the biggest, but we are the best. So there are companies that have really, really, really comprehensive solutions. And sometimes that's not a fit for, the 2-man to 12-man HVAC company, which is really the sweet spot for P3. And again, we really have drilled down and made it simplified. And one thing that I just want to share, my personal experience, the reason now we work together because I'm a marketing consultant in HVAC, but the reason I learned of P3 it was probably more than 10 years ago. I was working with Ream and Jamair, and I helped contractors all over the United States use their co-op dollars effectively, and I helped them with trainings and marketing tools. And I can't tell you how many contractors came to me again and again and again and said that this software helped them grow their business. And then we ended up getting, at that time, we got it approved for co-op reimbursement, which is something also that, whatever manufacturer you're working with, it's something also that you can talk to them about and see if and it's very inexpensive as well, but they also, in many cases, they will cover the cost of the equipment, of the software, because they know it's going to help sell their equipment.
Absolutely. And Cindy, we have a question from Joan. The question is hey, Mike, we offer both the recurring monthly payments for service agreements and once a year pay in full. We would really like to go towards only recurring, but have some resistance from some of our older customers, especially. Any thoughts on how to approach this? Absolutely. I mean, as with anything, if a customer has a concern, the the why, right? So is figuring out why is that? In other words, what is it that they're concerned about? I think it's more of the value proposition or how you're phrasing it, how you're having that conversation with that homeowner. But maybe for the first year to do recurring, maybe you go in with a little bit of a discount for doing the recurring, or truly just ask them, just flat out ask them, say, you know what, I completely understand what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense, but let me ask you, what is it about the recurring that's holding you back? And then just be quiet. Don't say a single thing. Let them ask you, or not ask you, but let them tell you what their true concern is. Because obviously there's a concern there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have a problem with it, right? So there's something they're not telling you. And the only way you can truly get that answer out of them is by asking them that question and giving them the opportunity. I think what I see so often is people ask a question, but then they immediately start talking right away. Like that moment or two of silence just kills somebody, right? So, and then all of a sudden they start speaking. Really, you just don't need to do that, especially with the older customers. They've been around long enough that they're going to be pretty straightforward with you, right? So they're going to tell you what's going on. But unless you ask that question and give them an opportunity to answer, you're truly not going to find out what that true concern is.
Yeah, and I just want to say I do have some experience hearing about this too, because there are homeowners, and most of the time it is the older homeowners that are resistant to change, sort of like the bicycle analogy. And I feel like, you know, if you share with them the value proposition, and not in a, obviously not in a salesy way, but just like, we're going to be helping you. And again, like Mike said, ask them what they're resistant to and explain that, you know, they're going to set it and forget it. And you're always going to be there for them and scheduling these regular maintenance checkups. So they are going to see a value. And the other thing I found that for, you know, for those contractors that are transitioning over, make sure that the consumer knows that they, you know, they can cancel at any time. So there's no strings attached. And especially if it's a long-term customer that you feel, and granted, you might lose a little if they cancel in the middle of the contract versus at the end, but to get that level of comfort from them, I think that goes a long way. And in most cases, they won't cancel in the middle. They just want assurance, I think, that they're getting what they're paying for. And I think that, you know, when you have a credit card and it's an automated type of situation, sometimes people have resistance to that. But and again, I find it's the older customers that feel that way. But hopefully those techniques will help you, and especially if you share with them what the value proposition is for them. And again, that there's no strings attached. If they want to cancel at any time, you're happy to do that.
Absolutely. And I think you brought up a good thing that I'll touch on for a second, but Maria also has a question. So give me a second here, Maria. But let's talk cancellations. If you guys are getting cancellations, if you're doing the monthly recurring charges with your customers and they're canceling, this is a value issue, right? So because anybody that sees the value in what you're offering won't cancel that service. So it's very, very important that somebody, if not you, the owner, pick up that phone and call that customer and say, hey, I see you want to cancel. What's going on? You have to ask that why. In other words, get down to why they're canceling. Of course, you're going to get that certain percentage of the people. They're going to say, yeah, I want to do the monthly. You're going to do a tune-up, right? Include it, and then they're going to cancel on you, right? But that's probably less than 1% of the business that we're talking about, 1 or 2%. So the other 98%, 99% of the business, you're not going to have that issue. So if you are getting cancellations, please pick up that phone and ask why, because there's something in that value process. Maybe the last guy that was out there and did the tune-up did a 5-minute tune-up, and you as the owner didn't know that. Well, now you could send another guy out there to give them a proper tune-up and save that service agreement. So it's really important. Now, Maria, your question was, do you recommend pricing service agreements a la carte? And by a la carte, I mean pay-as-you-go pricing. Well, that's going to be kind of a different situation. So it really depends on your business, Maria. So I think the two most common ways that I see it done is some service agreement or companies offer one service agreement. So here's what you get. kind of a take it or leave it kind of a thing, right? And then of course the parts and stuff like that are additional, right? If you mean by a la carte, I do see some of the biggest or the bigger service agreement customers that really have that service agreement culture figured out. They may have like a bronze, a silver, and a gold plan. And the bronze plan may include this little bit of things, the silver and so on, up to the gold. So you could really do it either that way, but I don't know that I would necessarily recommend doing a la carte. In other words, where you're just making stuff up as you kind of go. In order to create a culture, it's got to be easy for your technicians to institute that. And by offering a la carte, it's really not the easiest thing for salespeople. You're leaving too many decisions in the process.
Yeah, and I just want to share that again, you know, a lot of this is systems and processes in place because it can be overwhelming. There's lots of moving parts, and that's the beauty of having a software like P3 or another software. It doesn't have to be P3. Obviously, we're fans of P3, but again, to do all of this manually and track it, and companies do it manually and track it, but it's harder, and it's also, you know, again, it's about streamlining, simplifying, and it also helps your techs and everyone on the team to be on board because it's all right there, and then you don't forget it. And it also tracks it for you. So it's not like manual tracking either. It tracks renewals, it tracks, you know, whether it's a monthly subscription, whether it's a biannual subscription, it's all in there. So you don't have to go in there and set reminders and that type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Joan's got another question. Said she had to step away for a minute. We're in the middle of the meeting, but she's asking, will we send out the link for the recording? Yes, we will. And yes, it was recorded. And then you also asked, how do we determine the price for our maintenance agreements? You know what? That's a really good question, and that's a really loaded question. So what I mean by that is every company's different in size, different in text, different in specs,
different also in what time, what year, I'm sorry, what area of the country, because in Miami, obviously service agreements are going to be a lot more expensive than in a, you know, more rural area. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you two different answers that I think would be a good resource for you. Is number one, your accountant. In other words, every time you go out there, what does it cost you to do that preventative maintenance in the first place, right? Get with an accountant, figure out what your cost is on that, and then what you want to make on it. Number two, your distributors. So the people you buy your equipment from are a valuable resource. I know I work with some really, really large distributors, and they really teach and train their territory managers or their BDMs to be more of a coach or a consultant. And help you through that. And they can tell you what's going on in your market and where you can be as far as price-wise, at least give you some variables that way. But I would definitely start with them two angles, Joanne.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we do have some benchmarks. So if you know, we can have an offline conversation about ranges and benchmarks and samples, templates, and that type of thing. So if you want to schedule a demo with Mike, we can certainly put some of that material together for you.
Absolutely. More than happy to.
Okay, so I think we are 12:15. Well, on my end, it's 11:15 for you. So thank you all for coming. Hopefully this was valuable. Again, this video here was really just about where we were then, where we are now, how the mindset between the internet and membership organizations and pay by month type of culture that we've moved into. It's a great video, so maybe we'll share it in a link when we email everybody the recording. But you get the gist of it. We're just sort of sharing how we can move into a more productive and beneficial type of working situation with service agreements and helping to build that service agreement culture for you. So we're really happy that you were able to share this time with us. Again, I'm glad we finished at 12 and we had a little bit of Q&A after, and Mike is available at mike@hvacbusinesssolutions.com. I'm here to help also if you have any marketing questions. And I think everyone has my email because I emailed everyone a reminder. So yeah, thank you all for being here. And we look forward. We're going to have an encore presentation, and then we have another one coming up with flat rate. And hopefully we'll get the video technology figured out with no glitches at that time. So anything else, Mike? Thank you all for coming.
No, just appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you have a very great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.